Hey everyone, it's Marshall Atkinson, and it's Thursday, and it's time for another interview with someone from the decorative apparel industry. And it's my distinct pleasure to have my friend Sean Kirkpatrick with Integrities from the great state of Texas to talk about hybrid digital printing. So, how are you today, Sean?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, so let's get going. So talk a little bit about your shop, and then of course I want to transition quickly into what the hell is a digital hybrid? What is that, right? So talk about your business a little bit first, just let everybody know what you do.
Yeah, I'm in Lubbock, Texas. It's kind of in the middle of West Texas, and started my business in April of 2003. So I just celebrated about 17 years in business, growing from a little 6-color manual to now I've got about 15,000 square foot shop, 2 autos, and I'm actually putting in another one on Monday. So, and a Diamondback.
Great.
So a little 810. I needed flex press to kind of get me through some of the busier seasons. So,
right.
And let me tell you about the digital squeegee. So in February, March of last year, I was just looking to myself, not that I knew that any of this craziness that's happening was going to happen, but I kind of looked and said, I want to differentiate myself. I mean, there were a million printers with anywhere from a manual to 50 automatics and everything in between. And I wanted to be something that was going to be able to offer something different. And so went to a couple shows, kind of got my mind wrapped around the digital squeegee. And once that little seed was planted in my head, it just grew and it just made sense, and it made more and more sense. And then I just had to have it.
Right. Good. So just for everybody watching, right, make sure that you can ask questions. So don't forget to write your questions in the comments. We want to take questions, and Sean wants to answer them. But also, even if you don't have a question, can you just at least say hello, right? Just say you're here, where you're watching from, and what do you do or something if you don't have a question. But we really want to take questions because the purpose of this is to help you understand what's going on with some things, right? So our first thing, Sean, is how is a digital squeegee different than like a normal DTG? Because I think everybody really understands what, regular DTG is, right? Not the deluxe version, right? So let's talk about what you do and the equipment you have.
So everyone knows traditional screen printing. We burn our screens for every color. We register them. We use a head with a screen and colors and squeegee to print every color. There we go. DTG, we all know that. We load a shirt on there after it's been pre-treated. It goes in, prints down the white, goes back, prints down the color. The digital squeegee is a hybrid print system. So what that means is it's taking what I like to call the best of both worlds from both technologies. We're using screens. We're using the Newman stretch screens at 40 newtons, and we are printing water-based white bases down. That allows for a nice white base on the shirt, and then the digital squeegee comes down, and it's a DTG on steroids, if you guys have seen the size of the machine. And it goes in, and in 4 passes, it will put down full CMYK color on your shirt.
Right, and you're printing at what speeds per hour? How many units?
M&R likes to boast 400. I've gotten to 415 on the left chest. Average by the time you end up stopping. Water base is a little bit different monster than plastisol, so stopping. I'm averaging 365 to 380 per hour on printing, which when you're talking about digital printing, that's so much faster than anything else on the market.
Right, it is really fast. It's really fast. That's great. And so so you got into this and you've learned how to use it. And what percentage of your business would you say you're doing on that machine?
So that machine is probably, we got it installed in July of last year and nobody knew about it. It was me trying to figure it out, get it working, sell it to customers. And it was a slow procedure because people just don't understand it. I found if I can get people seeing a video or coming to the shop and seeing it, it just blows their mind. And then they're like, oh yeah, I need this. So right now it's actually growing. During the quarantine, I really put some time into LinkedIn and built up a B2B network. And those connections are starting to come in with people that I planted the seed, said, hey, when you guys need some t-shirts, then you're wanting something a little bit higher quality than what you've been getting through simulated process or whatever from your regular printer, let me know. And some of those connections are starting to hit. And so I'm probably doing, I mean, I have 2 presses running right now, and they're both running full time. One's digital squeegee, one's my gauntlet. So it's probably about 40% of my business is digital squeegee right now.
Okay. And will it print any flavor of shirt, or are there limitations to what you can do?
It does, and that's another best of both worlds in that DTG is typically 100% cotton. That's all you get to do. And my Mark Kudre said it best, and he calls it the riches are in the niches. Well, I found a niche in my printing, and I print for women's brands. So I have 4 women's brands that I print for, and they love these blends. They love the Bella Canvas 3001 CBC. It's a 5248. It comes in a million colors and a million headers. I print on that just because it's priced right and they look great. They feel great. But it's a 5248 and it prints beautifully on that. But I've also printed on 100% poly shirts. I've printed tri-blends. I can print slubs. I can print anything. And the power of the hybrid is if you print on something like 100% poly that would normally bleed, well, I can print a bleed blocker screen on there. Just put it before my whites, print it on there, and then go to town.
Right. And so that's just amazing. And how many, since last July, how many different designs have you printed? And maybe talk about one that really wasn't as successful, and then you learned something from it. Oh man, I need to change this up. And now you've figured it out.
Definitely. So we typically use, we've kind of come up with our formulas for using, there are several ink manufacturers that have come to the table and developed digital inks for the digital squeegee. I use the Magna just because that's what I started with. I've found that it works for me, and I'm kind of one of those guys that if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. So we've pretty much figured out the process of what screens, what squeegee thickness and hardness, you know, what speeds and everything works for us. But we'll find that different, you know, we'll toss in and we'll know that, you know, on our regular formula, this is a hard squeegee for the first base. Well, then we'll get a slub t-shirt, and it needs just that little bit of pressure with a softer squeegee to get that down. Or a lot of times, a lot of people are seeing these videos of people printing digital squeegee, and you'll see just a huge solid block of white. Now that's the easy way of making a base, and then you just let the digital squeegee work its magic and print all the colors on top of it. Some of the time, some of those larger prints, they don't feel that great, similar to plastisol. If you can break that up with some different lines cut out, if you can have some halftones. And so we've gone and found some of these designs, we print it, and we're like, man, this really could feel a whole lot better if we just cut this out and print the black directly to the shirt, or make some halftones here and there. And, you know, we go back to the drawing zone. Normally with simulated process, you know, if you really have high-end detail design and you've got 10 to 12 screens and you set it all up and you say, oh, this isn't right, you're going to have to go back to the drawing board all over again and burn all those screens over again. Luckily for us, we got 3 screens, you know, so we went in, made our tweaks, burned 3 screens, set it all back up, and it didn't take hours and hours of reset up and tear down. And that allowed it. And also, you know, you can go in and you print it, and oh man, that red, it just needs to be a little bit redder or a little bit orangier. And so you go to Photoshop, click, 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 save, send it to the DS. And instead of, you know, plastisol where you have to clean screens and change out the squeegees and do all that stuff, and you're down 25 minutes because a different color needs to put on, it's a 5-minute change.
Right. Well, what's with the dings?
Oh, my wife.
Hey, Sean, you need some milk.
Yeah, right.
All right. So I had a question, and then the dings happened, so I forgot what I was going to say. So we do have a comment here. Travell says, the cost of the machine is crazy, but if you have a demand, it'll make your business grow, which is a fantastic segue into the next question, which is, how is the digital squeegee different? Whoop, sorry. That's not the next question. How should a shop sell this capability and bring it to market? So let's talk about how you're making money here, and what is somebody watching, how they can make money, which is the most important thing.
Definitely. Well, uh, there are about 35 companies in the US with the digital squeegee right now. When I got mine, I think I was number 12. So it's definitely ramping up. People are getting excited about it. People are noticing the different quality and what they can get in there with the digital squeegee. But what it does is it allows you to offer DTG digital printing at that quality, at that photographic realism, at those beautiful colors. It allows you to do that in larger volume. I'm finding a lot of women's boutiques from LinkedIn and everything. They start out small and they build their artwork for DTG. So they've got their clip art with their beautiful photographs of flowers and everything. When they're small, they're contracting it out. Oh, I need 10 shirts. I need 15 shirts. Or they have one in their house and they're printing them as they're small. Then they get one that really hits, and all of a sudden they need 500 of those shirts, and it's going to be virtually impossible for a lady in her garage to print out, that and keep up with everything. And so that's where you can really sell to those markets that they have DTG, but then man, they get a big order, and it's a DTG order, but it's 500 shirts, and you can market to them and say, contract out that to me, and I'll take care of it, and nobody will know the difference. And you can do that and just keep on contracting until you crunch the numbers and say, wow, I'm making good old Sean so much money that now I need to go ahead and put one of those into my shop.
Right. And so the thing that we also can do with this is change up the designs a little bit. Right. And so why don't we kind of talk about that? I know that was kind of my last question here, but if we're talking about sales, let's talk about, earlier before we started the interview here, we were talking about the 5K race, right? So why don't we kind of mention that? Because I know a lot of people do athletics and stuff, and just how versatile this tool is.
So a lot of people don't understand the technical term called variable data. I tell my wife that, and she's like, you need to come up with something a little bit easier. So we called it magic art changing. And so what it allows us to do, because we are digitally printing, it can change. And if you've gone to the trade show, I mean, that's what they're doing nonstop. Every different print that's coming off there is different. It allows us to show it. Most customers of ours are not going to trade shows. So you basically have to try and explain it to them. But what it allows us to do is build the base. And as long as the base screens do not change, then you can print as many different colors, as designs, anything you want with the variable data. And it allows for so much more customization. We were talking about a 5K race, and what that means is if you have white t-shirts with the name of the race across the front, and you have the racer's number printed instead of the bib with the little safety pins on there, you actually have their number printed. And whether they race or not, you can send that to them afterwards, and that shows, and you could even put their time on it, what they did on the race, and it has total customization without changing screens at all.
Right, or their name, right? So it could say, Marshall Atkinson, number 234 or whatever, and then that's sent to them before the race. And then what a really cool thing. And you don't have to do the bibs that everybody hates to get and pin on their shirt, and poke holes in their shirt and that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah.
So, and really, my wife's line, I want to do an exclusive shirt, a limited edition shirt. And what I want to do is I want to have one of 100, or, print 500 of them, and it will literally, each shirt will be numbered one of whatever. And, those are things that people right now in the industry, it's not available that they know of. And so I really foresee variable data becoming very, very big in the next year or two, as people can start to see that this is capable of being able to print something different on every single shirt, having different customization, and then just unlocking your mind to say, what can I do with this technology? Right.
And so you could have like the scene, right, is always the same, but under like an artist proof, right? There's a painting, right? And then underneath it, you could do 1 of 1,000, 2 of 1,000, 3 of 1,000, and that becomes scarcity. And as we all know, scarcity is more valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of artists that are doing their own thing, and why not create art on the t-shirt? You can take their art literally and put it on a t-shirt and have them numbered, and there it is.
All right, so we have some questions real quick before we get to our next one. So Tavel wants to know, what is the entire cost with the auto? You want to give that up?
So it's going to change. You know, this machine, I'm running it. So to answer Shane's next question, talking about the Striker, I am running on the Striker. It can run on Striker, which is the oval press. It can run on the carousels as long as they're the Generation 3 that have the tables that don't move up and down. It depends how big a shop is. It takes up a lot of space. And with water-based printing, you need a dryer that can keep up with 400 shirts an hour. So I've got a 16-foot dryer on my 16-foot chamber on my dryer, and then I've got tons of in-feed and out-feed. So it's not going to fit in every room. Then you need
a 3,000 dryer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and you need, you know, with water-based printing and the possibility of it being hybrid and adding on, we haven't talked about it, but adding on different spot colors or special effects. You need that space. You need the print space. You need places for hot heads. You need places for flashes, for cooldowns, for spot colors. You need all these different things that make it. So I've got an 18 station Striker, and I wish I had another section on my press, just because you're limited to the amount of what you can do with it. So if you already have a huge dryer, and you already have an 18 station auto, and you already have the quick coat and your digital CTS machines to be able to register your screens right, then it's still going to be a considerable cost for it. And you'll want to talk to your M&R rep right now about that. But once you unlock in your mind that this is a future that computers are taking over, digital printing is taking over, this is kind of met in the middle spot between screen printing and DTG, and it fits a role. And people are wanting higher quality prints, and they're wanting lower quantity runs. And so that's where this fits perfectly. And once you allow yourself to kind of let you write that check or get that lease or whatever on this equipment and run with it, it's really an awesome piece of machinery that will really set your company apart from everybody else.
Yeah, man, your wife really wants you.
I try to turn it off. I can't. So.
Hey, so we want to let's talk about some special effects that you've done. You can add spot colors, right?
Yes.
So that's a metallic plate or gloss or whatever. So, so what are some of the things that you've done with the machine?
So CMYK only allows you to get so many colors, and I firmly believe that you know, and because M&R's come out with the Maverick, and it's got those 2 extra colors that let you get those really, really bright fluorescent colors. I believe another version of digital Squeegee is probably going to be out in the next 5 years, and it will have that. So, but right now I'm stuck with CMYK, and so. For instance, NASCAR came and they had some of those fluorescent yellow and fluorescent orange names that they have plastered all over that. Well, I told them, you know, that can't be printed digitally, but I can add the screen and I can print that as a spot color, and it looked great. I've added some bling. I've added some glitter on top of those things. I've added some clear gel that gave it a glossy look. There's just so many different things, and I think Michelle Moxley, she's done some really great stuff working for M&R in the research and development department, working with on press foiling and then printing digitally on there. I really think nobody's doing that right now. I'm trying to set myself up to be able to be that company in the U.S. that's really dialed it in, so that if you want that look, then definitely I can help you out with it. But I think that's going to be really cool. And really, like I told you at the beginning before it started, the machine itself and the CMYK inks that goes with that machine, it has not changed since M&R debuted it in January of 2018. So the machine, as far as what we know of, is 2.5 years old, and it has not changed one bit. What is changing is the ink companies. They're developing better inks that are working, and they're faster, and they're brighter, and they're easier to print. And then the printers, we're figuring out, hey, we can thin this down. We can make a softer print. We can use a different mesh. We can build our halftone bases a little bit better. And these prints just keep getting better and better. And the digital Squeegee page is unreal, because it has the collection of all the owners and shops that have the digital Squeegee, and the stuff that they're posting every day. It just makes me happy to see people just using the machine. People they love these machines. They work, and it's just great.
Yeah, right. Well, hey, you sold somebody, because Travell here wants to know what's your turnaround price on 200 shirts.
You know, typically it's within a few days of receiving the shirts. You know, once we get the artwork, you know, we can get it. We can knock it out really quick.
Right. And then we kind of talked about this earlier, but variable data on designs on the same underbase. I just want to make sure people kind of understand the process, because it's a little tricky. And so let's just take something that you've printed before with an underbase that maybe had a lot of versions to it, and just talk about how you developed the art, how you printed it, maybe if there was something, another spot color at the end. Just work us through that a little bit so everybody can understand what has to happen.
Okay, so I did a car show, and a couple, the owner or the person putting it together, we built it, but they said, man, we've got a couple guys that they sponsor us, and they'd really like their car to be on the shirt, but it doesn't really work with the design for the whole shirt. And I said, that's not a problem. You know, send me those cars, send me photographs of them, make sure they're really high quality. 300 DPI is what this digital squeegee prints at. I said, send them to me, and I can do some special t-shirts for them. And so what I did was I took the design that was for the entire car show, and we ended up printing 5 t-shirts for these 2 other guys with their car. I took the other car out, and I put their car in there, and the customer was blown away by the fact that they could do this, because they'd never had that option before. You know, that without that variable data option of being able to swap out, and of course I did have to use the same bases, and that's how you keep it same cost, efficiency, and everything like that. But as long as you just go in and plop some different photos and cars around, and it looks the same, you know, there's no end to what you can do with this.
Right, right. And are you using, let's say you're going to do that name drop idea, right, or something. Are you using some sort of action command or something to set that up so it's easy, just, you know, it's a funnel, like just goes in and all this art spits out? Or are you going to have to hand do it?
I haven't done it yet, but Michelle Moxley says that there is some software being developed right now that's an action in Photoshop, that it'll draw from a list, plug those in, save the file, and export it out. So it's working there. I don't think a lot of people, even the digital squeegee owners, are really taking variable data to the limits right now, because, you know, I think most of them are so busy with the fact that, you know, regular customers are like, we want this, and we want this, and we want this, and they're so busy with regular work that they don't even have time for all the research and development.
Right, right.
So that's where Michelle is really doing a really great job at developing stuff. And then when she figures something out, she posts it to us, and then lets the owners just run with it.
Yep. All right. So show and tell time.
All right.
What you got?
All right. So this is one of the shirts that we developed, and it's been washed a couple times. I need a quarantini, and so I need a quarantine. This is actually a bling, and I guess you can't really see it very well in the. You can kind of see it right there. It's this is a Magna bling, and so we tinted it and was able to get kind of a special effect on this one. This was a shirt that started it all for me. It's my denim Bronc design, and what I did with this was I literally cut out that shape with my laser with a pair of my wife's jeans, and then I took a picture of it, brought it into Photoshop, and just went to town on it. But I mean, it really just the look of you know, the different stuff. In fact, I actually went in for some samples. I went in and put a white puff paint on all of the different threads, and then you could actually feel it. And it really looks, when you see it in person, people are like, that's not a print. That's literally denim sewed onto a shirt. And I said, no, feel it. I mean, it's denim.
So did she realize that there's a cowboy missing out of the jeans? Or?
There. And this is a shirt that I actually did 2 days ago. And it just kind of lets you see the kind of colors and stuff that you can get with the digital squeegee. You know, it goes straight from Photoshop and allows you just to get really beautiful blends and bright colors and just really cool stuff that, you know, if you were running that simulated process and wanted to get even close, you're probably looking at 12 colors and hours of separating, hours of setting up, mixing colors, hours of trying to register it in. And then, you know, if you're not in the 99 percentile of perfect shops with 100% tension and everything else, and you do a 1,000 shirt run, the first one and the last one are potentially going to look a little different from just the different, you know, dot gain and everything going on there. So that's another beauty of digital squeegee. It's a computer putting that down. So number 1 and number 10,000, it's going to look exactly the same.
Right, right. For the unit, how big are the ink reservoirs?
It comes out of the ink is made out of Japan, so it's liters, but it's about a gallon of each of the CMYK that we get from M&R. And I can't tell you. I would love to say that I've dialed in how much ink is used on a 12 by 15 design and everything, but like I said, I've been so busy just grinding T-shirts out that I haven't spent the time finding that. M&R does say that with the water-based ink and your screen cost and your CMY ink, they have said it's about 42 cents per shirt for full coverage, everything. I tend to think that, and I've spoken to some other owners, that they're getting closer to about 30 cents. So where with Plastisol, you can get 8 cents, 9 cents a shirt. You know, it is more expensive, but if you look at the time saving in registration, burning screens, cleaning screens, setting up, mixing inks and all that stuff, I think that those things really start to look equal, you know, especially when you're looking at 400 shirts or 250 shirts or something like that.
Right, right. And have you printed over hoodies zipper or any kind of craziness like that, or you can only really just do flat?
So digital squeegee likes flat, but there's different pallets that you can develop. There's smaller pallets for hoodies that let the pocket fold over it. People are doing it on sleeves. You know, you get a sleeve pallet. As long as you can make it flat, you can print on sleeves. I've done some cardboard so when I'm printing out samples for customers, and I bought some boxes that I can print the picture of the design on the cardboard box, build the box, and then shoot it. You know, we just kind of stick it under at the end of the job, and you know, when they get their box, it has the design on it, and they think that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I've done some flour sacks, you know, the flour sack rags. You know, we just basically throw it on there, and they're kind of a natural color, so you can literally just go to town, print that. You could probably print that a lot faster than 400 shirts per hour, because you're not waiting for the screens and stuff to print the white bases. But the thing is a CMYK, you know, ink, and it can be it could print on a lot of things, and I don't think a lot of people have even tapped into the different things that this thing can do.
Have you done bandanas or towels?
Towels might be a little fluffy. You can raise, so if there's the palette, you can raise the digital squeegee up, and so we typically are running it 1 to 1.5 millimeters above the shirt, and it'll do the 4 passes bidirectional, print, 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 print. That's the fast speed. If we have something, a lot of my women's lines, they have V-necks, so we have to. We don't want to, that V-neck actually is on the palette, so we have to raise the digital squeegee up a little bit more and have to run it in high quality. So instead of 4 passes, it's bidirectional. So it goes print, 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 print. So it's about half the time, but it allows us to print on those kind of shirts, which, you know, you just charge a little bit extra because you're not printing it fast. And you could probably do that with towels. You could just raise it up a little higher and print a little bit higher quality print, and see, depending on the towel.
Yeah. So what's the one thing do you think this technology needs that oh gosh, I wish I had that right now? What would that be?
I need the other 2 colors. I did
chrome instead of 4.
Yeah. I did a FedEx job, and he wanted that FedEx orange, and it just can't be done with CMYK. It's just a little bit brighter, and he said, no, it's FedEx. And so I had to run a Plastisol, and where I wanted to do, it was 15 different, it was the same back, and it was 15 different locations that were having name drops on the front. And I said, all right, this is perfect for variable data. Let's run with it. And I ran a sample for him and sent it. And he said that orange is not it just doesn't cut it. So we had to run plastisol, and it was 75 screens instead of 3, and it was a whole big thing. So I every time I talk to people at M&R, I'm like, all right, so you guys are in development, right, for those 2 extra colors, and hopefully that can be in the next couple of years.
So do you think you'll have to buy a whole new machine, or can you just swap the printhead out?
I have no idea. If I have to buy a machine, mine will be paid off, and mine will be up for sale for somebody that will want to get into
there you go.
Get into it a little cheaper, and I'll get on there. I really just,
Right.
The digital squeegee and the technology of hybrid, I firmly believe is the future of my shop, and so I've gone full force on it, and I believe in it, and it works, and customers see it every day. New customers, I film a little video of them of it printing, and they're just amazed by it because it's just so new and fun. And then they post it on their Facebook, and everybody's wowed by it, and then they sell a lot more shirts just from a little video. So it's really a unique process.
Have you done anything with online stores where I know your clients, are doing that, but you personally, like an online store for a school or something where it's the senior class shirt, and you could get their senior photo inside the letters of the school or their name, or I don't know, some kind of something like that. Have you done anything like that?
I haven't, just because my boutiques lines, they've been keeping me busy on the machine, but that's just something that, that's the next variable data job that somebody that has a machine can take hold of. I mean, the technology is there. It's just, can you dream it up? Because
right.
What was once not possible, now it is.
Right. Okay. Well, we don't really have many questions, so we're not going to be on here much longer. So if you do have a question, please put it in the chat. So just a couple comments here. Augusta says hello from Sweden. He was in every single Shirt Lab Summit Q&A that we had, so it's good to see him there, right? And Robert Rubin says hello from Oxnard. So good to see him. And then Travell's got all the other questions. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sean. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, here's your email. And is anything that they should know or you want them to know, here's your chance.
So producing artwork, Photoshop, CMYK, 300 DPI with a transparent background. Those are kind of your basics, and everybody should know that anyways with high-end art. But yeah, I mean, if you're finding that you have a customer with a sizable order that DTG just isn't cutting it, or they need it on a blend, or they needed something like that, that's where the hybrid process is it's the fix.
Mm-hmm. And are you PSST contractor?
No. I haven't needed to yet, so and I've stayed busy, and I'm growing without it. So up until that time when I need to, then it's organic growing. People are finding out. In fact, I'm the only one in Texas with it, and so people here, I'm really surprised. I was talking to my M&R rep the other day, and I said the first person to put one in the DFW area is going to make a small fortune. I really wish that I was there.
Well, you can always move.
Yeah, I'm stuck in Lubbock.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, thank you so much for your time today, Sean. I really appreciate it. And don't click off after I end the broadcast. Okay.
Thanks, Marshall.
Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you. See ya.